Hello guys, let us discuss this problem on Leetcode known as Pascal's triangle. So this is a pretty famous problem because it is a simple problem using arrays, 2D arrays you can see. Now see, first of all let us try and understand the problem statement. They are giving us a 2D array and in which you see that all the corner elements are 1 but the element in between for them they're basically nothing but the sum of the elements above it. So as they have mentioned over here, each number is the sum of two numbers directly above it. So if this is 2, then we are getting this 2 by adding 1 and 1. Then we are adding this 1 and 2, we are getting 3. 2 and 1, we are getting 3. 3 and 1, 4. 3 and 3, 6. 3 and 3, 4. So in this way everything is going to go on and on. But if you notice one thing, there are these base cases, right? Because of course the first element is going to be 1. This is one of the base cases. The second thing is that if you notice all the corner elements are going to be 1 no matter what happens, because for the corner elements there is nothing about them, right? There is only one element, there is no second element for them. That's why they are going to be 1 only. So let us do one thing, and this is basically the brute force approach. There are many other approaches, but this is just me trying to solve this problem in a naive way. So see, first of all let us do one thing. Let us create an array. So that array, let us initialize it to nothing actually. Let it be an empty array. Now let us initialize this array as all ones. Okay, we will change the elements in between afterwards, because as I told you all, the base case is first element is 1 and other elements are at the corner are 1 only. So let us do one thing. ARR equals to, or let us just append it by using a for loop. So for any I in range, so the input is going to be number of rows. So they have told us how many rows do we have. So for I in range number of rows, we'll do one thing, we'll append that array. So arr dot append, what we are going to append it by 1. But this is not the thing, right? Because we are going to append with 1 for the first case. For the second row we are going to append with 2 ones, then with 3 ones. So 1 2 3, you see that it is iterating, right? So for this I in range, say 1, how many times? For the first row we have 1 1, then 2, and then 3, and so I know I said it again what I said before, but by that what I meant is that we're going to append the array with 1 times the I. So see, for I, but I is actually starting from 0, so this will not make sense. So let us do it, or we can change with your I plus 1, but instead of that, let us just write 1 to number of rows plus 1. So I is going to start from 1. So for the first row, only one element. For the second row, 1 times 2, that is 2 ones, then 3 ones, then 4 ones, and so on. So let us, for now, let's just print out this ARR and see what we did. Okay, that's what we wanted to do, right? Because for 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and for the fifth row we have 5 ones, which is exactly what we wanted. So that seems to be correct for now. Now let us just not print it. Now let us see what we can do to manipulate these ones. So we're going to need two variables I and j, because we of course want to iterate through this 2D array, right? So to iterate, we're going to need a for loop inside a for loop. So let us write a for loop. So for say any I, or let us call it row and column, or I and j is fine, I guess. So for any I in range, so range is going to be the length of the array, right? Because not actually length of array. Let us do one thing. Let's just call it R for now. Let us define it afterwards. For I in range R, and then for j in range. Now this j, right, this j is going to be dependent. The range of this j will depend, because for every column we have different number of actually for every row we have different number of columns. So for this row we have 1 column, for this row we have 2 columns, for this row we have 3 columns, and so on. So it means that this j will depend on this particular I, which is the row. So let us write the range afterwards. First of all, I'm just going to print it out to see if it is working or not. So for ARR of I and j, I'm just going to print out the element as it is. So let us define this R and the range of the column now. So R is going to be what? The number of rows. So number of rows means, as you see that actually yeah, they have given it as input. So R is nothing but number of rows. Or let us do one thing. Instead of that, you can write it as length of this particular array, because the length of this array is nothing but the number of rows. It is the same thing, but it is fine. And remember, this array is 2D array. When I say length of this array, it means that how many rows does it have. So I hope you understood what I said. So this is the R, and now this j. So this j is going to be in range. Now we'll write length of every particular row differently. So for length of this ARR of, now this is going to be I. Now why? Because see, for say I is 1 now. So for I equals to 1, which is this particular row, we are going to have for j in range ARR of I. So ARR of I is this, and the length of this is 2. Then when I say 0, 1, 2, and 3, so when I is 3, you see that the length of ARR of 3 is going to be 4. That's why J will be in range 4 now. So in this way, we're going to iterate I and J. And I hope this works. Let us print it out and see what happens. Yeah, it is working perfectly. I know it is difficult to understand. If I write a print statement afterwards, after the end of this loop, then we understand how many rows and columns do we have. Yeah, so if you see the first row, then second row has 2 columns, third row has 3, and so on. So it works. Now what we want to do is, now we want to change the elements in between. We don't want the corner elements. We have to exclude them. So for to do that, let us do one thing. Or actually, we can do one thing. We don't have to start from the for starting actually. Yeah, this is right actually. For starting the row, if you see the first and second, that is 0 and 1 for zeroth and first row, we don't have to do any manipulation. So instead of that, instead of starting it from 0, you can simply start it from 2, because 0, 1, and 2 will start from 2 up to the length, up to the number of rows that we have. So these two things are done. Now we have to work on these ones, the ones below it. So now, actually, this also can be sorted out, because if we start from 1 instead of starting from 0, so I'm not starting from 0, so it will go up to length of this array, which is nothing but actually, yeah, we'll have to even subtract a 1 from there, or not. Let us see what actually. I'll do one thing. I'll print out the I and J, and to get the rows, I'll again write a print statement over here to see. Okay. Okay, so if you see, we wanted to start from 0 and this is done. So for the second row, so this is 2 comma 1. So 2 comma 0 we have excluded, 2 comma 1 we have, and we have 2 comma 2 as well. So we have this as well, but we don't want this. So what we'll have to do is we'll have to subtract 1 from the length of that array. So if I write -1, and now let us see what happens. Okay, 2 comma 1 means so 0, 1, 2, 2 comma 0 and 1. So 2 comma 1, 3 comma 1, and 3 comma 2. Yeah, 4 comma 1, 4 comma 2, 4 comma 3. So I think this is perfect. That's what we wanted to write, because we wanted to have access to these elements, because we are only going to change these elements. Otherwise, these elements, the other corner ones, are going to be as they are. So I think we can write the logic to just now, change the element to the sum of the elements above it. So now to get access to that element, I'm going to write ARR of I comma j. This is going to be equal to the sum of elements above it. So one row above means ARR of the row means I. So I minus 1 and whatever j that we choose, plus again the elements above it, right? So that's why I'm just sorting out the rows thing first. Not sorting actually, I should say I'm solving the problem of rows first. So the current row is going to be, so suppose assume that this is the current row, it is going to be it. So let us assume this cell, for this cell we are having the rows, the sum of the row above it. That's why I minus 1 added. So if you see, that's why I added -1 for rows. Now for columns, if you see, so this is 1 comma 0, this is 1 comma 1, but this is 2 comma 1. So we have to change 2 comma 1 by adding, so I'll just do one thing, I'll just comment it out so that you understand what I'm saying. So for 2 comma 1, we have to replace it by the first row, so we have to replace it by 1 comma 0 plus the row before it with the current, so actually this is going to be 1. So this row is going to be, so this cell actually I should say 2 comma 1 is going to be 1 comma 0 plus 1 comma 1. So this is 2 comma 1. Now I is 2 and j is 1, that is going to be I minus 1. This is correct. Now we have j, right? We have to manipulate j in such a way that we get 0. So j is 1, so simply I'll say j minus 1 over here, and this is going to be j as it is. So this is the logic that I have devised right now. Let us do one thing. Let us just print out array at the end to see if it is working or not. Okay, 1, 1, comma 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 3, 3, 1. Okay, that's what we wanted to do. So instead of printing it out, let us just return array. This is the brute force approach that I thought. I don't know if all the test cases will pass with it. Okay, one test case has passed. Let us run the sample test cases. Okay, I'll just attempt it again. Okay, it works. Let us submit it. Okay, it is successful. So that's all from my side. This was just me solving this problem in a brute force manner for the first time, so that you know what are problems did I face and what did I do to solve these problems, you know. So that's all pretty much about it. If you like such kind of videos, you can consider subscribing to this channel. Thank you.